Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel today. I'm coming to you with a band aid on my head from a spot I had removed, so disregard the crazy band aid. And today I want to talk about decision making in family systems. So, we are in a transition period in my own family. We had an au pair living with us to help with the three kids, and now the au pair is done with his time and he's moved on, and we're kind of back in a longer transition period because we have a few months to fill, and then summer will start with summer camps and all the summer things, and then our youngest will be in kindergarten, which feels like a huge positive shift of okay, we've made it to kindergarten, but we're not there quite yet. And so, as we've been really sorting and shifting, I wanted to share that process on here so you can see how we as a family are thinking about things, and maybe it might help you when you are making decisions within your family thinking about things. So, what we want, the ideal is a balanced family system. Once someone told me that in divine order, everyone wins. And that has been such a thing that sticks in my head. So when we are in alignment, when we're in divine alignment, everyone is winning. And what that means is it's often seen that if one person's winning and another person's losing, that's okay. Sometimes that's how the math works out. Stephen Covey also talks about this in his 7 habits for highly effective people: win-win or no deal. And so I wanted to shift the mindset of each person in the family. As long as I'm winning, or what we see commonly nowadays is as long as our kids winning, it's okay if we're not winning. As long as one spouse is winning, it's okay if the other spouse isn't winning. We really want to get out of that mindset, especially in sacred relationship framework, which is the framework that I created and operate out of. We really want to hold this space for everyone, and we want the family system to be for everyone and not just a system that benefits a few. And I truly believe there are ways that we can make the family system benefit everyone. But we have to have that mindset, because a lot of times, and this is very common with moms will be losing, but they're okay losing and they'll take that L. But the thing is everyone, it's like a puzzle, and that we all have to get the pieces in the right space so that every piece is being utilized correctly. And if I'm holding a piece of information that says I'm not winning, what I'm actually sharing with the group is something's not in alignment with the family. It's not my failure. It's not that I'm the problem. It's that I'm the kind of canary in the coal mine saying, hey, we haven't found it yet. We're not in full alignment. Kind of like a Rubik's Cube, you can get some of the sides and not all the sides. You didn't master the Rubik's Cube if only a few sides are all the same color, and a few sides aren't. You need to get the whole cube in alignment. So if any person in the system is out of alignment, we want to shift from a very common viewpoint: they're the problem. Oh my gosh, my kid is never happy. My spouse is never happy. That they're always tired. They're always grumpy, blah, blah, blah. We want to get from like, that's their failing. We want to take it from them and add it to the equation of the family. Okay, we haven't solved the problem yet because so and so is always tired. So and so is always in a bad mood. That means that we haven't found what we're looking for. And again, kind of what we're looking for is harmony. We want families that are working in harmony and have a harmonious energy. And if one person is they're they're off key, it's going to impact the whole family. So when we're making decisions for the family, we have to consider every single person in the family, and we have to consider the ecosystem of the family. We have to consider the nervous systems of the family. And we can't just write those things off. Because I think a lot of times we write those things off as if they're not that big a deal. And really, again, those are a huge deal, and those are the key. The point is that we all want families that we enjoy and that we're all benefiting from. And so if someone's not benefiting from the family, it's actually not serving its purpose. So, how do we look at that in practical application? So, what I want you to do is, I want you to look at, when you're thinking about your family, I want you to see the areas that are really working, that seem to be working well for everyone, and the areas that seem to not be working for anyone. So, you think of, okay, we're doing these things, and Johnny has baseball and he really loves baseball, and his dad really loves coaching baseball, but then it throws mom off because where do we do dinner? And it throws Susie off because she's having to go to baseball and she gets home too late and is tired. How we pick apart that situation is, Okay, so we have Johnny loves baseball. Johnny's winning. Dad loves coaching Johnny. Dad's winning. Mom's not winning because she's frantically trying to make sure everyone's fed and handle everything. And the daughter, I name her Sally. Sally's not winning because she is being pulled all over. So what that might look like is, how do we get it closer to winning for everyone? Okay, Dad and Johnny are going to do their baseball thing. They're going to eat out that night. They're going to handle it. Dad's kind of in charge of Johnny, and Mom's going to stay home with Sally. They're going to have whatever meal they want, and they're going to have a different kind of evening. So in that example, we're not pulling anything apart in a crazy way, but we're shifting things so that we can find that sweet spot for everyone. Because what I often see is families become kind of committed to, out of principle, we do things together, we eat together, we live this life together, we our kids are in sports because sports are so important and sports do all these great things. I'm not saying that studies don't show that sports do great things, like I've seen that research as well, but I'm also saying if it's at the expense of the parents, studies also show that parents who aren't doing well, kids aren't doing well. So we don't want to do things at the expense of anyone. I'm very clear in in my household, we've picked a sport that really works for our schedule. And it doesn't mean that the kids might not like and enjoy another sport, but we had to find something that's a win for everyone. We found gymnastics because they, like in the summer, the girls can go there, they do their gymnastics, there's a camp after. So it flows really well. It's a longer practice time. So the drop off and the pickup, we're not having to like be there when we have 3 kids. And my husband works nights, so we have like this situation. So even the decision of their sport isn't just about the kids, it's about the family system. What's going to be sustainable for our family? For someone else, that might not be sustainable. It's way too long, da da da. We like this other thing. Great. But it's never about just the one person, it's about how it plays into the system. So and a lot of times we have to let go of our philosophies, of our beliefs and how things should be so that we can be really present with what is happening in our system and how we can solve for that, not how it should be happening and how we should be living based on who we should be based on fake people. And so when our peers leaving, so how we've adjusted for it in the family leading up to his leaving. My son was on the swim team and he was doing fine. He hated it, but he was doing good and it was a good activity for him. But when I looked at my schedule and what was happening for me, I had to say no. I had to say, as much as we believe, again, our principle, we think at a principle, we think this is a good thing. We think that this is the important thing for him to be active, blah, 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 engages his brain in the right way. Like we had all the reasons to do it. But the bottom line is, I didn't have the bandwidth for it. And when my husband working nights, he couldn't help out. And it's like, okay, then that means swimming's a no. It's kind of like looking at your bank account. A lot of times we're buying things on credit financially. And a lot of times with our family systems, we're buying things on energetic credit, emotional credit. I don't have it, but I'm going to charge it anyway. And we want to be a more cash based system. And yeah, one week I might need to float someone a 5, but that can't be a constant credit card charge. So when I look at that, I'm like, as much as I philosophically like this, energetically, it doesn't fit. And so we had to let that go. I would just set my husband a meal plan. I'd been cooking a lot of the meals. I had time. I had bandwidth. I had extra help. Now that extra help is gone. So even though I liked being able to cook for the family and I was enjoying that, I can't do that as much as I did before. So I was just writing, okay, on Mondays, this is where we're going out to eat. Here's a few restaurants we can go to. On Tuesdays, there's this burger night we love. We're going to do burgers on Tuesdays. Wednesday, Thursday, I'm home. I'm happy to cook. Friday at work late. I'm always tired when I get home. My husband will cook that night because he has the bandwidth on that night to cook. Weekends, we'll see what happens. Here's an easy night. An easy meal we all like. We can cook Saturday, and maybe Sunday we do a family dinner out. But you see how that schedule has changed based on the capacity of everyone in the family and what we're working with. I see a lot of couples, they're in the little kid phase trying to do everything themselves. That's a time you really need to look at, how can we outsource? Where can we outsource? Where can we get extra help and support? Why are we putting on each other to be miserable to get through this phase? I'm now almost on the other side of it, and you don't need that help and support forever. I actually have the bandwidth to clean my own house now, but for years that was completely out of the question. No one was even gone long enough for me to mop a floor. Now I can cook more meals. And for a long time, it looked like a lot more meals out. It was miserable to cook. And now I'm enjoying it again. So it's also not judging ourselves or our partners for where they're at. And it's really just meeting them where they're at in that season, knowing it will change. A mistake I made with young children that I see so many people making is I have a vision for my family when my kids are 8, 10, and 12. And then I try to impose that vision on when they're 1, 3, and 5. Eventually I love family dinners every night. That's great. Or really nice meals. And even like talk about going out to eat as a family. That's really fun. But it would be fun now. It was not fun 3 years ago. And so why am I forcing something because I see it in the future? I need to stay real with the present. What am I trying to get out of this? And we're kind of like, well, I want kids who travel. So I'm going to take kids everywhere. People who have not traveled their whole life still are able to travel at 20, at 30, at 40. Kids who've never been on a plane till 10 are still going to be able to be good travelers. Like you're not actually creating this thing. If it's fun and if it's serving you, do it. But if you're doing it because of the philosophy of who you think you want to be, let it go. Stay current with where you're at. Because the problem is these are our years of life too. So if I'm sacrificing my years to get through harder periods in my family, I have given up years of my life that I won't get back. I've given up years of my spouse's life that he won't get back. The goal is not to white knuckle it and force ourselves through it. The goal is to find the harmony in each season so that we can enjoy it, suck in the nectar of that season, and then be ready to move forward. Regret, this thought of, oh, I wish it were different, that comes from not being able to enjoy it in the moment. I'm not saying there aren't moments that I look back on, oh, I wish it, I'd love to go back there for a minute. But when we're really being present and soaking into that moment, it's easier to let it go versus when we're just trying to force ourselves through it. That sets us up to regret that time more and more. And so be honest with who you are. Be honest with where you are. Be honest with where your partner's at. Be honest with where your kids are at. I have to really watch the kids. Yeah, they want to say yes to everything. They want to do everything. But as I step back and watch them, I can see, okay, if I push them harder on one day, I need to give them a break the next day and really protecting their peace so that internally they can find their harmony. All right, my son is different than my daughter, and my youngest is different than my middle daughter. What do they need? I'm constantly watching them to see what they need and adapting to that versus having a vision of what I know they need and forcing that. And that comes from me doing that the same thing with myself. I'm not going to change my whole life based on a bad day. We all have bad days. But I'm going to look at trends. And this is another great example. I just talked to my husband. I said, I cannot handle pickup. I'm home for pickup. I can't handle pickup. I hate carpool. It's stressful. I hate walker. It's stressful because we live far away. So we're going to walk in. I'm like, I hate all of it. So I came to my husband and I said, hey, I've tried. I hate pickup. Like, I don't know what to do. There's a service in our neighborhood where they will like do a little neighborhood carpool. You have to pay for that and like neighborhood carpool. In a moment of like financial responsibility, I'm like, we don't need that. We're home. So, I let that go. And so I came to him today and I was like, this is something I can't do. Like it weighs on me, having to be there at an exact right time, all of that. I don't like it. And I said, I am ready to go back to the neighborhood carpool. Like I'm willing to pay for that. Like I'm at that. Do you want to do pickup or should I contact the neighborhood carpool? And he's like, actually, I can do it for 4 to 5 days as long as you can do it that fifth day. Like we can try that. And it was like, oh, what was really heavy for me isn't heavy for you. And that happens so much when we're holding things and I'm holding this as my job and it's stressing me out and it's not stressing him out. So we'll try it. We'll give it a few weeks, see how he does doing pickups. And he might say, yeah, now I'm tapped out. I don't like it. Or he might be like, I love the time with our daughter. It's great. So just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it won't work for him. But this is the kind of conversations we want to be having with our partners, with our spouses. Like we want to look at what is the heaviest thing on my list that's just throwing me off? And how can we solve for that? And again, the solution cannot be that we're different people because we're not. Carpool is never not gonna stress me out. It's just eh, I could write down why. I could tell you what about me does not align with carpool. And that's just who I am. And if it aligns with him, great. And if not, let's solve for it because I don't this is something I have to do every single day. I don't want every single day to dread 3:30 pickup. When you think about those, see the heaviest things in your schedule. And the other thing I say is when you're thinking about getting to the harmony, overshoot and then comb it back. Because what I often see is people try one thing and then they're like, well, that didn't help. We did a babysitter on the weekend, one weekend, and we're still stressed. Like, no, 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 no. Get meals figured out, get house cleaning figured out, get tidying figured out, get carpool, get everything figured out, go overboard. And then when you're like, this is so easy, then start taking things back. Oh, we don't need to eat out every night. We only eat out every other. Or maybe just on the weekend we need to eat out. I can do it. Or you know what? We might need a cleaner, a deep cleaner once a month. I can handle it during the week. Whatever it is, but like don't just try one thing at a time. Solve for everything and then start pulling back once you're back to resource. It starts to get disheartening if well, I tried one thing, it didn't work. I must be broken. Oh, there are certain seasons we need more support. And there's certain seasons we need more support from people outside. And there's certain seasons we need more support from our partners and having this level of conversation. And if you're the partner, as the receiving partner, you really want to know what are you needing and what can I help you solve for? And as the giving partner, the receiving the complaints and then you're giving the complaints, be honest, be clear. Don't blame yourself. Just this is just what it is. And then switch roles. And we really want to kind of dump the shoebox out, look at all the factors, sort it out, get everyone in the right place, and then go from there. But once we have true harmony in the family, everyone will be winning. And again, this doesn't mean that we don't do stuff we don't like. This doesn't mean that, I'm not pushing my kids in any way, but there's a balance and an intentionality behind it versus a just philosophical belief that this is the right thing. I'm watching, I'm paying attention, and I'm making sure that we're finding that right amount of harm. That's one way to make decisions in the family and really start balancing your family system. And the problem with an unbalanced family system is it's kind of like, oh, my gait's a little bit off because I hurt my left leg. And then all of a sudden your right hip starts hurting. And now your whole body's like these little things. We want to catch them small and solve for them before they come the bigger things that start taking the system down. Good luck.